Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott, where we talk all things manga. I'm excited to share with you my first of the summer haul of over 120 volumes yet again for the month of June. And if you're wondering, Scott, how come we don't ever see a summer reading log? Well, when I showed to you like Homie Can't Communicate from what I got from Viz Media as an ongoing title, this is what I'm currently reading. If it's not in this manga haul what I'm currently reading, when you see one of my manga reviews, that is what I just read. So because of that, that's why we don't do reading logs, but we do these manga hauls and manga reviews. So let's go ahead and dive in. And in the comments below, I'd love to know from you, what did you either read or pick up from this last month? And with that said, let's go ahead and get started with ongoing titles from Viz Media, with the first being, oh shocker, Homie Can't Communicate, Volume 25. This is one of my favorite series of all time. It's a comedy, slice of life. It almost feels episodic like a sitcom, but not. There is a bigger overarching story, and this is now year 3 of her school year. When the manga started, we started at her just starting at year 1. The manga's been from year 2 up to volume 24, and now we're up to year 3. I'm excited to find out how this goes. I love this series. I would love even if they continue on through high school, and then just seeing how she is as a family later on, hopefully if she gets married to the one. Next up, I got Mission Yakuza Family. This is kind of like a Spy X Family comedy series. If you want something that scratches that same itch, this is a great series. I find myself laughing through the panels, and it's an overarching, heartwarming story. There's a little bit of romance. Another great one. I'm excited that's continuing to come out, and Viz Media has done a great job pumping these out, as I believe there's maybe 13 or 14 out in Japan, so they've done a great job. This is volume 5, but I'm very impressed as they continue to ongo with the series. Just every other month we're getting a new volume. Next up, I got My Hero Academia volume 34, and if you've watched my top 10 favorite series of all time, this was on that list. Is it still on the list? Probably not, but it's still a great series. I do wonder, has it already peaked? As the last couple of volumes, I'm just ready for the story to move along, but I'm still enjoying My Hero. Next up, I picked up Elusive Samurai Volume 6. This series was one of my favorite series to come out last year, and it's still one I highly enjoy. It's a battle manga, but you also have strategy. There's also heart, and it's fun just following the cast. It reminds me a little bit of Demon Slayer, just in the sense of how the characters interacted with each other, and I feel the same way falling in love with Elusive Samurai. And what's neat, at the back of the book, it actually has these pages to share a little bit with you how this was inspired and what really happened in the historical sense during that actual time that Elusive Samurai, the idea of the setting when it was supposed to be for the character. So great series. Highly recommend checking out. Next I got was Blue Box Volume 4, and this is probably one of my favorite series when it comes to the actual artwork for a Viz Media title, as the panels are just absolutely beautiful. This is a not fully sports, not fully romance series with a dash of comedy and a dash of slice of life sprinkled in, and it works. This is such a great series. If you're looking for something that's in between that, it's one I highly recommend checking out. Next, I picked up a series that I purchased over a year and a half ago. I think I've been waiting almost 2 years for this volume, and that is Queen's Quality Volume 2. Now, I have all of Queen's Quality. I believe I'm just waiting for Volume 1 of QQ Sweeper, which is the prequel for the series. I've heard nothing but good things about this shoujo series, and I'm just so anticipated once QQ Sweeper Volume 1 is reprinted. I think that's the one I'm missing of the 3. I want to stop everything else I'm reading and dive right into the story. Next up I picked up was Sakamono Days Volume 8. And I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite covers. I love how they mix the yellow with the blue. This is a series about this ex-assassin who now runs a convenience store. He's a little out of shape, and then all of a sudden his past comes back to haunt him. This is more of a battle comedy shown series. Phenomenal, and one, as always, from my other ones, I recommend checking out. Next up is Mashal. This is a cross of Harry Potter and One Punch Man combined. This is volume 12, and I was surprised just to read the other day that the series is ending its conclusion within the next couple of weeks with 18 volumes total. So by the time next year, I'm sure we're gonna see the finish of it in America. Very much enjoyed these physical volumes so far. So if you're looking for some comedy in between a Harry Potter, One Punch Man, this is one you'll want to check out. Next I picked up was Hayate, the Combat Butler, Volume 1. Do I have a couple of the other volumes? I do. I got some of the out-of-print volumes. I also ordered the rest of the whole series off of Takara Cafe. I'm waiting for that to come in. The reason why I picked up this series, it's a Shown Sunday series, and the author's current work is Fly Me to the Moon. This is a series before that, so you have this slice of life comedy series, and with the Viz Media prices increasing, if you're like, oh, Viz Media's increasing the prices? Why, yes it is. If you click the eye in the right hand corner, you can hear my thoughts and more about the Viz Media price increase, but because of that, I figured let's go ahead, I've been on the fence, let's pick this up now before it increases by 20%. Next, I got the last volume for Requiem and the Rose King. This is a series that I've been waiting for a while to read. It's a highly recommended shoujo series. Have I started yet? I have not, because I am missing 2 volumes. I backordered those 2 volumes, so once I get those in, this is a series that I'll be able to start and one I'm looking to have a review in the future. Next I got what is probably one of my favorite series that is ongoing right now, and that is Frieren Beyond Journey's End. If you've not picked this up yet, highly recommend grabbing it now after this video, or at least checking it out on the Viz Media app. This series, you're following this elf, and it's instead of it being about trying to save the world, this is what do you do afterwards when the world has been saved. So it's been 50 years later, and this elf, she continues to live, but her group of party adventurers that she spent 10 long years with, becoming a family, they are now long gone, and she's now continuing the journey on what is next. And it has a lot of heart, it has comedy, it has action. It's interesting to see how some people in the world have forgotten what happened 50 years ago when her party saved the world, as well as those who still remember, seeing statues that have crumbled, people who still remember and have good ideas and statues, and even some debt collectors saying, hey, 50 years ago, we lent you some money and now we want you to pay it back. So great series. I can't say enough. It's one I highly recommend you checking out. Next, I got the last 2 volumes I needed for Snow White with the Red Hair, Volume 12, and the latest Volume 25. I'm sad to see that this series is now on hiatus, hopefully for just a little bit. I got the series for my daughters, as this is one that was recommended to me from Colleen when I asked her, hey, what are some good titles for younger age kids that are 11 and younger? And this is one that she hands down said. So that's why I picked it up, and now because I have these last 2 volumes, I'm gonna go ahead and read this one as well. Next, I picked up 3 more volumes I was missing of Twin Star Exorcist. This is Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 17. Now, I'm still missing Volume 4. Now, this is more one of those deep tracks for ongoing Viz Media releases, kind of like Separate of the End. So with this one, the only reason why I have not started is now I'm missing Volume 4. I backordered it. Feels like a year ago now. It's almost to a year. So as soon as Volume 4 comes in, it's another series that I can get started in reading. It's painful because I believe there's 28 volumes. So I have 28 volumes collecting dust, sitting on a shelf, just painfully waiting for that Volume 4 to go ahead and be reprinted. Next up, I picked up was Zom 100 Volume 10. This is by the same author who made one of the great series, Alice in Borderland. Now, this is a comedy manga / apocalypse. This is with the main protagonist who just got tired of work, and when the apocalypse happened, he's like, I don't have to go to work anymore. In fact, I can have some fun. Hey, why not make a bucket list of things I've always wanted to do, and I could have a little more freedom now with the apocalypse. Sounds hilarious? Maybe. If it's something you're interested in, there's also an anime that's coming out very soon for this, so whether it's an anime you want to check out or scratch the itch by checking out this manga series, this is one that's recommended by a ton of people. Speaking of Alice in Borderland, did I pick up Alice in Borderland? Why, yes, I did. I picked up Volume 6 of the series of this 2-in-1 There's 9 total. This is Apocalypse series that is serious. Does not have the comedy sprinkled in, but this is so good. It's this battle royale survival type of series as the main protagonist with some friends woke up in this different world and they're trying to survive and figure out how do they get back to where they were. Are they in a different reality? Are they in the future? Are they in the past? Are they somewhere else? So good. Highly recommend checking this out. It made one of my favorite series of all time that came out last year, and I'm so impressed with how fast Viz Media is pumping out these volumes. You gotta check out if you haven't already. And the live action on Netflix is also really good, and that has a whole series in completion in two seasons. If you're curious, I believe the 5th volume goes through just the first season, and then the 2nd season kind of pushes through the rest of the volumes. I don't know what more to say, but it is one I'm thoroughly enjoying. Next up from Viz Media, I got Fists of the North Star Volume 8 and Fists of the North Star Volume 9. I'm so grateful that they're coming out with these hardcover editions. And they do, if you connect them together, it has this lovely blood splatter. Well, I don't know lovely with the blood, but I love when they take volumes combined together and make some pretty picture. It looks great on the shelf. And I'm so glad they're continuing to push these hardcovers out and they haven't canceled it like they've done with Daya. But I actually wasn't surprised, and I was shocked that they announced Daya to begin with. This is an older series that came out in the late 80s. It's a battle series. I believe there's going to be 18 volumes total, so we're halfway there. I was sad with the price increase, but I'm going to continue collecting it, and I hope they make it all the way. So if you're looking for more of an old school series, see what series kind of like Dragon Ball Z and others got their inspiration from, this is a great one to check out. Next, I picked up a series that I've been so anticipated. I hear this is one of the best shoujo series of all time, ranking up with 48 volumes and counting, and that is Skip Beat. I have almost the entire series now. I'm missing, I believe, volume 16 and volume 35. I'm not sure when those will be reprinted, but I just heard so many good things. I'm so excited just to be holding so many more of the volumes and to know that I almost have the entire series so I can start reading it. I have so many friends have raved about the series. If you follow this young girl who she inspires her dreams to be on the stage, and man, the comedy, the drama. I've just heard this is peak fiction in itself. And I'm just so happy to know that I'm this much closer, 2 volumes away out of 48 to go ahead and read the series. Next, I picked up Volume 3 of Help. This is a series that recently came out in January, and I just raved about Volume 1. Am I still raving? I would say my excitement has gone down a little bit, but I'm still enjoying the series. I think there's 12 volumes total, and it's neat seeing just the different perspectives of, you're kind of seeing the demons and monsters as the humans are just attacking them and destroying them, and the demons are just trying to survive. You know, their land is pretty crummy. There's a lot of poison in it, and they would love to have greener pastures. They'd love to be in a nicer area, but it's just not possible. And when they finally get to breathe, what happens? The humans come attacking them again. What will they do? Well, this series has it in spades, seeing that different perspective. And then, of course, they need a new demon king because the human took it out. And who comes rising to the occasion but what? A human? You can't have a human become the new demon king. Or can you? Phenomenal series so far. Again, I'm not as excited as I was after Volume 1, as Volume 1 had a lot more comedy. This one, it's still funny, but not as much. So I'm hoping that it does continue to get better again. That's Help. Next up is a relationship that I love and get a little tired at the same time, and that is One Punch Man, and this is with Volume 25. And the main reason why I have this love kind of despise relationship is I get really excited when I get a volume, and yet I'm still in the same arc. Now, the last volume I read on the same arc again. I was good, I enjoyed it. And then I got Volume 25, I was just hoping this arc would be done, and yet it is not. I don't know how much longer it's going to be, and because these volumes are more staggered where we don't get as many per year, it just seems so long. So it's a series I've enjoyed. I love the comedy of it. Everything up into this current arc I've enjoyed as well, I think just because of how slow it is of them coming out with these volumes in America, I wish they would bring them all the way up to current it is in Japan and then have it be much slower than it is right now. I'm not enjoying the staggered relationship we have. So that's One Punch Man. Next, I got a series I thoroughly enjoyed reading earlier this year, and that is Call of the Night. This is volume 12, and I feel this is one of those series that is continuing to peak. If you're looking for a series that just continues to go up, this is one of those series. This is a romantic vampire battle-ish shown series, as you have this main character who just ends up falling in love-ish with this vampire, now kind of wants to be a vampire herself, maybe not be a vampire, and just this antics that they have together, as well as other vampires maybe not okay with their semi-relationship, semi-not friendship. Really, really good, and like I said, it just continues to only get better. Speaking of the combat butler, from the same author, I got Fly Me to the Moon, volume 17. Now this series, Fly Me to the Moon, has this married couple, and you're looking for more of an adult story after they get married, and just the antics of trying to figure each other out, figure out life, as well as maybe some things that elements kind of fantasy, kind of sci-fi. One way to find out is checking out Fly Me to the Moon. Next I picked up is My Hero Academia Vigilantes volume 14. I think there's one last volume. This is a series that it's okay. There's parts of it I thoroughly enjoyed. I got hooked on, and it scratches the same itch from My Hero Academia with the side story with different characters completely. It's been fun, and at the same time, I guess I'm just not excited with how it feels like it's ending the series. It's just how it's wrapping up. So I'm actually not sure after I finish the series if I'm going to keep it or not, as I have enjoyed the journey. There's a certain girl I think would be much, much better for him and would be a better storytelling, but instead, being the typical trope, I feel like he's going to go with this other girl instead, and that just kind of annoys me in itself, as well as it felt like one of the volumes kind of summed up the entire series super fast, where I was like, did we really need this many volumes for after taking several pages to share everything that's happened so far? So we'll see, but that's My Hero Vigilantes. Last, from ongoing series from Viz Media, I picked up Golden Kamuy volume 29. This is such a good series. Is it cooking? Is it action? Is it battle? You know, if you click the right hand corner, you can go ahead and see my review to give you more details of this series, but I'm so excited. It's nearing its conclusion. There are 31 volumes total. I believe the 31 volumes now available for pre-order. I think late this year, early January is when we'll be able to finish the series, but I'm so excited to see its epic conclusion. It's a great series, and again, if you're on the fence, check out my review. Let's go ahead and now check out ongoing releases I received from Yen Press. And the first, it's almost I want to put on the new to me, as it's a continuation of a series that was completed, but I end up putting on the ongoing instead, and that is Higurashi When They Cry, the 7th expansion. I have not had a chance. This is actually on my nightstand about to read. Higurashi is a phenomenal series. It's one that you should check out, but it is an investment. It's an investment with so many volumes of the series, but it does have a satisfying conclusion, and I was actually surprised to see that there's a continuation of the story. So I'm not sure yet how I feel, but I'm hoping that within a future video I can share with you more of my thoughts of, is it worth it to continue the story after the first conclusion. Next, I picked up what I'm actually reading right now with the bookmark, and that is Kowloon Generic Romance Volume 3. Now, the first volume was just okay, but the second volume was much better. This is by the same author as After the Rain, so you have a little bit more of a slow burn. And this series, you're wondering, her memories, are they real memories? Are they not memories? Are they in a bit of a past? Are they in this future? And it's really interesting just following the characters as you're trying to figure out what is actual reality. You also have some adult romance in it, which is a little more entertaining to me and interesting than just following the typical high school tropes of romance in school. as well as it's interesting they're in Kowloon, the city that used to exist that no longer does. And it's almost like in this story, instead of it being torn down, it actually stayed. So there's so many interesting dynamics with the series, and it's one I'm thoroughly enjoying. I believe they did even announce that I think there's gonna be 12 volumes total. So for 12 volumes, that's not a bad investment for the series, and I'm looking forward to hopefully tell you more of my thoughts on the series as more volumes release. Next I picked up was volume 3 of No Longer Heroine. This was recommended to me by my friend Laura. Phenomenal, interesting, a train wreck of a series as you follow this main girl who feels that she is the heroine of the story and instead realizes that she is a side character and the man that she loves does not love her, and then the girl who should have been the side character is actually with the man that she loves, and it's very interesting. It's one like a train wreck. It's one of the things that you just cannot look away, and you're like, what is this main character thinking? Well, the one who wants to be the main character, what is she thinking? And even telling herself, well, what if I am a little bit of a villain, but it's only to be a villain so I can become the hero again. It's very, very interesting. I'm looking for it as it continues. It's one I recommend checking out. Next, I picked up what some say is the best isekai of all time, and that is Re:Zero, and this is volume 6 of the 4th arc. Have I read it yet? I have not. I do need to start reading the series as I now have all the volumes. It took me a while to collect all the volumes, but I haven't picked it up yet as I've had many other series just come on, but it's one I do want to check out soon. Next, I picked up the last volume that I feel like all of us have been waiting almost 2 years for, and that is Horimiya, the final chapter, volume 16. Now, there is a smaller little prologue plus fan art that's coming out next month from Yen Press, but man, we have been waiting a while with 15 volumes, and I feel just like I almost have to read some of the other volumes just to remember what's going on. But I'm so grateful, as we've been wondering for so long, when are we going to get the last volume? When can we complete the series? So other than the fan book-ish that's coming out soon, this series is complete and I can go ahead and finish. Next, I picked up, this is from their Eyes press line, and this is Tomb Raider King Volume 3. This scratches the same itch as Solo Leveling. So if you like Solo Leveling, this is a series you're going to want to read. And what's nice is it's full on color. You know, even the character here looks a little bit like the main protagonist in Solo Leveling just with this picture alone. But instead of this, you know, purple, pinkish, you would probably see blue. It's one I am enjoying, and each volume continues to be better. So if you like Solo Leveling, check out Tomb Raider King. Oh, the drama. Can we talk about drama? What about beautiful costume design? What about a main character that is just going to not sit and take it? Can I recommend to you the Remarried Empress? Downton Abbey, get out of the way. This would be such a much better live action series as you're following this main heroine girl as she is the Empress and her husband, the king, has decided to take on a side lover. Is she going to sit and take it? No, she is not. Did I say the drama? Oh, the drama indeed. This is so, so good. This is another one that was recommended by Laura. I believe this was her #1 last year of recommended series. It's not my #1, but it's one I highly recommend and I'm thoroughly enjoying. Let's go ahead and now check out what I got new to me from KODANSHA. The first being Welcome to Demon School Volume 2. And this is such a funny school series. More comedy, battle-ish, but I am just laughing out loud over and over again with these first 2 volumes. It's one I recommend that you're going to want to check out if you've not already. I know there's several seasons of the anime is out, and I think there's 30 volumes of this in Japan. That's going to be an investment, but I'm thoroughly enjoying this, and actually, because I don't want to wait, I'm actually planning on checking out the anime. I hope it's as good as the manga of it. This has just been such a funny series. Next I picked up was Grand Blue Dreaming Volume 19, and we're just as close to being caught up with Japan as the Volume 20 just recently released it. Now on the K-Manga app, which, man, that's another video entirely about the K-Manga app and problems, but you can read it simultaneously on there. This series, as much as I love the characters, as I'm laughing out loud, at the same time I am cringing at some of the sections of harassment that happen in this series. Is it good? Is it bad? Should you check it out? I will leave that up to you as a consumer. I actually have a review that I'm not sure how it's going to go, as this is probably the hardest manga I've ever had to review. Again, there's times that I'm absolutely loving the series. I've fallen deep in love with the characters, and there's other times that I'm just completely cringing at some of the things that they're getting away with. Next I picked up was number 6, the Omnibus Edition. This is the second one, as well as the third of the Omnibus, and now this series is complete. I've not checked it out yet, but I'm now excited to know that I have the whole series and I can read it. And for an omnibus, it feels really good in his hands. I think KODANSHA does a really good job with their omnibuses, even with the 3-in-1. It didn't feel as too heavy, and I like with their omnibuses, they actually make the panels are actually a lot bigger than you would be from a typical volume if you just got the singles for number 6. Next I picked up volume 13 of Blue Period, and this is one of my favorite series of all time that has to do with the world of art, which I didn't know much about art, and there's something to be said about a manga that allows you to fall in love with a subject that you weren't as much excited about or knowledge of before reading the story. This series, as you're following the main protagonist pursue his dreams, and encourages and inspires you to want to pursue your dreams as well, as so many little nuggets of wisdom sprinkled out through the entire series, and one that I'm deeply engaged in. There's an art book that's in Japan. I hope we get an English version of that art book, but this is such a phenomenal series you've got to check out. Last from KODANSHA, I got A Sign of Affection Volume 6. This series was highly recommended to me from Laura and many others. I've not had a chance to start reading the series yet, but with the 6th volume, I think the 7th's out very soon. After I read the 7th volume, my plan is to do a review and tell you more if this is a sign of your affection as well. Let's go ahead and now move on to smaller publishers. The first I got from Webtoon. This is The Tower of God Volume 2. Now, unfortunately, it's been so long since we got, I believe the first one was, I want to say August last year, maybe it was November, but it's been a long time since we got the last one, and luckily Volume 3 is now coming out in a few months, and I've forgotten so much of the series. I'm actually going to be rereading Volume 1, then going ahead and read Volume 2, but I thoroughly enjoyed Volume 1, and it made my original top 10 of best series to come out for 2022. I hope that just continues with this second volume. Next, I picked up what some say is the best comedy, and that is Mob Psycho 100 Volume 11 from Dark Horse. There's 16 volumes total. Season 3 recently finished. The anime. It is just such a fun series. Tons of times of laughter as well as action, psychic powers. I've just thoroughly enjoyed the series, and I've also enjoyed just Rain, the side character. Is just, there's so many times I'm just laughing out loud through the series. So I'm glad Dark Horse is bringing the series. I wish it'd be just a little faster, as it feels like it'll probably be 2 years till we get it complete, but I'm still glad they're going ahead and publishing. And last from smaller publishers, one of my favorite series that's currently ongoing, probably would make my new top 10 if I made one, and that is Skip and Loafer Volume 7. I still have completely fallen in love with these characters. You're like, Scott, what was one of the first volumes you read when you got all this manga? This Skip and Loafer is one of the first ones I immediately grabbed, as they're going on to year 2 of their high school journey, and it's just so fun, so peak. It makes you want to be a better person. When you're reading the series, you're like, these are the friends I wish I had. I wish I understood these type of perspectives while I was in high school. It was also on my summer recommendation list. If you haven't read it yet, this is the peak when it comes to slice of life. Let's go ahead and now move on. New to me from Viz Media, with the first being the first 7 volumes of Kobu Won't Let Me Become Invisible. This is a main character who wants to be invisible, except for this girl here who's not going to allow that to happen. This is a series that I was on the fence of checking out, but due to the lovely Viz Media price increase, they got me, and I was like, I better pick this up now. I think there's 12 volumes total this series. because I was on the fence, I said, why not? I'd rather check it out now before the price increase. And if it's not for me, I could still probably get my monies back. So that is cool. Won't let me be invisible. Next, I picked up was Goodbye Eerie. This is a one-shot by the same author as Look Back and Chainsaw Man. This is probably his peak. This is one of my favorite one-shots of all time that I've read. It really makes you think, and it was just a good, wholesome story that was also entertaining and a little absurd. You can see just his mindset just sprinkled throughout the whole thing, very similar from Chainsaw Man. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this more than Look Back. So for my money, this is one I highly recommend that you should check out and pick up already if you have not read. Next, I picked up from Viz Media is Shoujin X. This is volume 1, and I picked up volume 2, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about this series. It's from the same author as Tokyo Ghoul. This one is a little weirder, and I was following along with the story-ish, and volume 1 I thought was better than volume 2, as one of the characters, how this monster they turn into just seemed so ridiculous and outlandish, and it kind of took me out of the story, and it just wasn't as fun. So I'm not quite sure. There's 30 chapters, and I'm really impressed how fast they're coming out, and I will say I appreciate how big the size is for these volumes and how many pages we got. Like you're definitely getting your money's worth for these big signature editions. I'm just not quite sure if this is what I want to continue reading, but hopefully will only go up from here. Next, another series that's also on my nightstand right now that I want to read right away, and that is Insomniacs After School Volume 1 and Volume 2. I've heard many good things about this series. The anime just finished with 12 episodes. I chose not to watch it as I wanted to read the books. I don't have much more to say yet until I read these 2 volumes, so my next haul when I get volume 3, which I have pre-ordered, I'm looking forward to share with you if this is one that you should check out yourself. Next, from Viz Media, because of that price increase, there's a series that I actually have been waiting to purchase for a while. I was just waiting for it to hear when it finally gets reprinted before I back order the series. Like I've done with so many series, when like Barnes and Nobles, they'll slowly start adding dates and you're like, oh, it's actually getting reprinted. And then what I would go ahead is I back order the whole series off of Rights of Anime or Takara. There is not any dates out right now for this series. Who knows if it'll actually be reprinted, but with the price increase coming, this one that has just been on my radar for a long time, I said, you know what, let's just take the plunge now. Let's get the volumes that are available, and that is Eyeshield. So for Eyeshield, I only have a couple of volumes. This series is not out of print, it's just in between prints, but some of these in between prints have been 3 or 4 years. So who knows how much longer it'll be for the series to be reprinted. My guess, if you're interested in the series, I would back order it now. When the series does finally get reprinted, my guess it's going to be at the new price increase and not at the lower price it is now. So again, if it's one you've been looking for, if you're into sports series, which so many good sports series out, but this one's on football, I would go ahead and I would pick this up now. Last, I picked up a series that I actually ordered a while back, and I was waiting for volume 5 and 10 to go ahead and be reprinted. They have not been reprinted, but Takara was nice to partial ship my order, and that is Igami, The Ultimate Limit. This is a detective series that was recommended to me from some other manga tubers to check out, and I was like, why not? It's being reprinted right now. Several volumes are back in stock. I just didn't anticipate when other volumes would be back in stock that volume 5 and 10 would not, and still isn't. Have I read it yet? No, because of that issue, but once volume 5 and 10, this is one that I will read and will probably have a review, as anytime I read a series where I have all the volumes I haven't read yet, I've done a review. You want to know what I'm currently reading right now? Check out my channel. You'll see the latest reviews. That's what I've recently read. Let's go ahead and now check out what I got new to me from Yen Press, and the first being Horizon. This series has, I think there's gonna be 3 of these total. This is supposed to be a very more heavier, sad, darker series dealing with post-war I've not checked this one out yet. This is also on my nightstand to read, and luckily I think the second volume's out within another month or two. They're putting these out fairly fast, which I really appreciate, but I'm looking forward to tell you more of my thoughts on this series in the near future. Next I picked up was a second volume of Apparently Delusional Adventures Will Save the World. And you're like, Scott, volume 2 of A New to Me? Where's volume 1? Great question. Volume 1 is now on its way and is finally shipped, as I made the mistake of pre-ordering volume 1 that was supposed to come out in January with March that Comes Out Like a Lion. March Comes Out Lion just finally released, so because of that my order was on hold. Now it's all shipping together and I can go ahead and read this series. It just seems so fun, so funny, and it was one of my highly anticipated series to come out for this year right now. Looking forward to telling you my thoughts when I get the other volume, and probably my haul of volume 3 I'll be caught up to tell you, is this worth checking out. Next I picked up was The Beginning After the End volume 1 and volume 2 by Turtle Me, and this is a series I wasn't quite sure of until the author Turtle Me was actually at SakuraCon earlier this year. So thanks to Yen Press bringing him over to be able to share his thoughts on the series, I bought in and went ahead and got these volumes. And surprisingly, it's a really good isekai series. It reminds me so much of Muko Tensei, except instead of the protagonist being a little bit of a pervert and a scumbag, you actually have a pretty decent protagonist. You don't have all those perverted, etchy, gross things that were going on. So if you're looking for something that's along that lines of Muko Tensei but a little more clean, this is a series I recommend checking out. Last from Yen Press, I got it was a manga. This is the omnibus, and this is from the same author as Yotsuba, which is one of my daughter's favorite series of all time. It's a great series for kids. It's a nice beefy one-shot all-in-one here omnibus. I do feel a little worried when I'm holding it it's gonna break, but for a slice of life series, and Yotsuba was just being so amazing, it's one I wanted to pick up. It was on a great sale, so I said, why not? As a future video I'm gonna have, or what are great just one shot or series that don't have a whole lot of volumes are worth checking out for those who have maybe a smaller able shelf space, or if you're like, man, I want some great series but ones that aren't, 10, 20, 30, or even 40 volumes. This might be one of those series that's gonna be recommended. So going to be reading this soon to share more of my thoughts. Let's go ahead and now check out New to Me from KODANSHA. And the first series is called Wand Dance, and this is a dancing manga by Coffee. I was surprised, probably as you are, to pick up a manga about dancing, but I got the first 4 volumes and I was like, you know what? I love Blue Period. That was about art. I didn't think I would get into that. There's sports series I'm now reading. I wasn't into soccer, but now I thought that was interesting. And I wasn't really into diving until I read Grand Blue Dreaming. So because of that, I was like, let's check it out. The 5th volume I think just came out, or it's on its way. So after 5 volumes is one I want to read, do a review to share if this is one recommended about it. I just heard it has such a phenomenal cast of characters, and there's so many characters. The author does a great job giving a little light to each of them. So I'm hoping it's one that can inspire me like Blue Period, and that's why I picked it up. Next, I picked up the first 4 omnibuses of Fire Force, which is by the same author as Soul Eater. And man, I thought of getting the singles before, but they are smaller, and as soon as they announced the omnibus, it was on my radar. And what's so cool about this is when we put these together, if you haven't noticed already, we get this picture. So I love when authors or the publishers do this, and KODANSHA, thank you so much. That is so cool seeing them all together. That's gonna look great on your shelf. And these omnibuses, they feel good in your hands. And it's also a lot more affordable than buying the singles. So you're saving money. It looks good on the shelf. Why not? So with that, here's Fire Force. I haven't read this one yet, but it's one that I'm gonna be checking out in the very near future. Now next is an old school series I picked up for my daughter at SakuraCon. She got very interested in knowing more about it, so because of that I was like, let's go ahead and grab the volumes. So I ended up getting Sailor Moon. I got all the volumes that are out except for 2 of them have not shipped yet, but This is Sailor V. This is the prequel for Sailor Moon, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And man, the KODANSHA, these are huge. This says the new definitive edition of a classic manga, and I will say this definitely feels like a definitive edition of a manga series. We even got the French flaps, which I don't ever let my kids use the French flaps, but we do have the French flaps for it. But what a nice addition. The pages, they did not do the cheap paper at all. This is phenomenal, and they did it almost like a comic book form, just how big these volumes are. But with that, here are the other volumes I got. The pictures look great. For a definitive edition, they really did go all out on the series. And again, I'm just missing, I think there are 3 of the volumes. So once I get the whole series, it's one I want to give to my daughter to read. But this is just so good. I'm just so impressed with what they have done with this story. Man, KODANSHA, I wish other series that they would give more definitive editions, or I'd pay a little more money for a better quality paper alone, but man, KODANSHA, they knocked this out of the park for this Eternal edition. So I'm thoroughly excited for this myself as a collector, as well as thoroughly excited for my daughter to go ahead and read this series and hearing more of her thoughts on it, as well as mine. Let's go ahead and now check out what I got from smaller publishers, and the first being Candy and Cigarettes. This is an Assassin series by 7 Seas. It's one I've been on the fence for a while, and with the latest Right Stuff Anime 7 Seas sale, I said let's go ahead and pick it up. And man, the covers are nice. Even has it where it's raised a little bit, feels nice as you put your hand on it, where it says Candy and Cigarettes. I'm into Assassin series, and it got so many good reviews on my anime list. I said, why not? There's only 4 volumes out right now. It looks fun, so I went and picked it up. Next, which is also from 7 Seas, and that is a Yakuza Fiancé. This was recommended by Deb. If you saw my podcast a few months ago, I got to interview her. This was one that she highly recommends, so because of that, she's such a phenomenal person. She has great recommendations, so because of that, I went and I picked this up. Next, I also picked up from 7 Seas. This needs no introduction, as many people have already grabbed this, and it is phenomenal, as they say, and that is Don't Call It Mystery. But man, so interesting. The dialogue alone, this is a very heavy dialogue shoujo series, but it's very interesting as you see the main character's mind work, almost kind of like a Sherlock Holmes, but a Sherlock Holmes that doesn't care. Very, very good, and just says whatever's on his mind, and unfiltered, and it's such an interesting, I love these 2-in-1s. They did a great job with the size of it. Yeah, it's one you should pick out. Again, heavy dialogue, but it's one that kind of makes you think, and you're enjoying it just for the witty dialogue and the humor as you're going through the panels itself, and even just seeing the main character correct the many people on what they're saying and how they're thinking as they solve the mysteries. Next, I picked up from Denpa. This is Heavenly Delusion. This is a sci-fi series that was recommended to me from my friend on Discord, Mr. Wawu. He is such a phenomenal person. If you're on the Takara Cafe Discord, he is there all the time. You should go ahead and say hello to him. But because of him pushing the series, I was like, all right, I'll pick it up. It's also taking the anime scene by storm. Volume 5 should be out soon. Once I receive Volume 5, I'll go ahead and I'll read the series, and I'll see if Mr. Wawu was right, or maybe I should give him a recommendation. And last, from smaller publishers, from Webtoon, I picked up Everything is Fine. Is everything fine? It might not be. This is kind of a horror story, more on the dialogue than graphic horror itself, at least with the first volume. And it's one I recommend reading slowly instead of speed reading. And you can just feel the weight and the tension with the words as you feel like you're just waiting for somebody to get murdered the whole time. You're waiting for something bad to happen, And every nuance as you read is, are they just saying that to be kind? Is there a hidden agenda with each word in the dialogue? I really enjoyed this first volume. The second volume is going to be out very soon. Wow, my jaw's dropping, like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And turn next page, like, oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, turn next page, and then, oh my, everything is fine. Now we're on to one of my favorite sections, and that is out of print. And the first is I got 3 more volumes of The Combat Butler. Here's volume 5, volume 12, and volume 25. And it was interesting, volume 25 was a lot higher than I wanted to pick up to purchase this, and I just added it to my cart on eBay. And what was really cool is I got a notification that they were willing to drop the price. I think it was like 30% if I picked it up now. I'm like, yes, for 30% lower, I will get this price. So I was able to give it, I think I paid 15 bucks for it. I think it normally goes for 30. I didn't think that was that bad for a series that's out of print. And as soon as I get my big order from Dakar, I will have all of the current series of the volumes, as well as I pre-ordered the last, I think volume 42 is about to come out. So again, because of that Viz Media price increase, that's why I end up picking up these volumes. Next, I gotta give a shout out to the manga community. As my friend on Twitter was sharing, hey, if anyone is looking for some series, I'm gonna be doing some manga hunting. Let me know what you're looking for. And I ended up sharing about Juvenile Remix, and I was still looking for volume 9, but he found me volume 10. Didn't charge more than what he paid for it, other than what he paid for it in shipping. Great guy, great packaging, and I gotta say, thank you so much for the power of this community, as we're all hunting, looking for different manga as well. And usually when I find older volumes or something that I already have a duplicate for, or I know someone else is hunting for, I'll go ahead and let them know and ship that to them. If you have volume 9 or know of someone with a volume 9 and they don't really want it and are willing to give it for a fair price, I would love to go ahead and have this series completed. Now, I'm so excited to share with you my last of my out of print, and this has been, if you've been with me for a while, I've called this On the Road to Legend. And on the road, we have been on this journey for a very long time, but I'm excited to share with you. I picked up Bronco Hours Volume 7 and Volume 3. Whew. This is a library copy, but that is a-okay. Somebody put on eBay this with 6 other of the volumes for $130. The other volumes itself are going for over $150. So I just said yes. Yeah, it has this here. It's a library copy, but for a volume itself that goes for over $200, I had to grab it. So I'm so happy. Thank you so much for everyone who's been cheering me on. Thank you for encouraging me through this hunt. Thank you for those who sent me messages of volumes that they're seeing at different places. I'm so happy to have this series completed. So I'm almost done hunting for out of print right now, as that Mao's the last of my out of print I'm looking for is volume 9. And then I gotta see, are we gonna go hunting again? I'd love to know in the comments below, what out of print series do you recommend that I should hunt for, that might hopefully can find items at a fair price. This is one that was off my radar that I didn't even want to try because of how hard and how expensive some of these volumes are, where usually a completed series goes for around $600 to $700. I think I got the whole series for, if I'm able to sell the other volumes I just got, I will have gotten this whole series for, I believe, less than $150. So, which I think is great for 11. I think there's 11 volumes in the series for one that's just so out of print. So with that, that is my entire haul video. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, if you're not so already, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps others know about this community that we are building together. And I am so grateful that we are not only just building a community, but we are thriving. Thank you so much. I love to hear your thoughts below.